Hi, it's Helen back again. So this week I'm going to talk a lot about emotions and how to work with them using the Eden method. So emotions are energy in motion. So that means they're moving. When we're handling or working with our emotions well, they just move through the body and our energy flows freely and naturally. However, when we try to suppress our emotions, where do you think they get stuck? It means they're stuck in the body and they're not moving. Or the other thing that happens is we deal with them very unskillfully. So all of a sudden they erupt all over the place. Have you ever been in the position where you've been feeling sad and you're trying not to feel it, and all of a sudden you burst out crying in your boss's office? The most annoying place ever. So emotions are meant to be expressed. And the reason for that is emotions give us valuable information about what's going on in our life. So for example, if I'm feeling sadness, what is that telling me? It's telling me that I've lost something that's very important to me. It's telling me that I need to grieve. If I'm experiencing a lot of anger, what might that message be? Well, it might be that somebody's crossing my boundaries, or it could also be that I'm not being true to myself. I had a client last week who's very angry with herself because she needs to make a move and leave behind safety, and she's afraid to do it. A pretty natural emotion to be afraid of making a big change, but because she's highly critical of herself, she's also experiencing a lot of inner directed anger. So for this week, because I have so many people in my practice that are suffering with sadness, I'm actually going to talk about working with the energy of sadness using the Eden method. So sadness means we've lost something. It means something has happened. For some people this could be a very recent loss, and for some people it maybe is something they've experienced right throughout their lives. I honestly believe our emotional life, or certain emotions, get passed to us from our parents in the same way that we have blue eyes or blonde hair. They can also transmit emotions like sadness, fear. For example, if your mum perhaps was expecting you and experienced a deep grief, perhaps she transmuted to you this energy of sadness. So our sadness doesn't always make a huge amount of sense, and sometimes it makes perfect sense. But whatever the reason for your sadness, whether it's an old sadness, a fresh sadness, or somewhere in the spectrum in between, all of these Eden energy medicine exercises are going to make a real difference to it. So we're going to start and talk about the neurolymphatic points. So the neurolymphatic points are points we use to help our lymph system get rid of toxins. So again, we have to remember that sadness, it's an energy. All emotions are simply energy, and we can find different ways to move energy. So to start with, I'm just going to show you the neurolymphatic points for lung meridian and large intestine meridian, because these are the meridians that deal with releasing and letting go. Small intestine does a little bit, but for the purpose of tonight's tape, I'm just going to do the two, the lung and the large intestine. So when we're using neurolymphatic points, we use a little bit of pressure. So if you want to just come up here, and if you like, see these little bones coming down between your clavicle and your thymus. It's actually nearly like a little rib cage. So I want you to rub deeply here in a circular motion and with a bit of pressure, just rubbing in between each of these points. And I'm yawning so the energy is moving, and here. And these points are quite sore on me because I've also had some grief to deal with in recent times. So just rubbing really, really hard. And then we can also rub the lung alarm points. So if you get both hands and you just bring them up towards your shoulders, wherever your thumbs land, that's your lung alarm point. So we can also rub them. And you're just creating space for that energy to move, for that sadness to leave. So those are the lung lymphatic points. And now we're going to deal with large intestine. So if you think about, you're going to rub on the outside of your thighs. And again, you're going to rub, it's probably easier to do this standing up. We're just going to rub down in a circular motion along the outside of our legs. And if these points are sore, you really need it. But this is how we released a lot of waste. So that's why we're rubbing these points. And then on the inside, just above the knee, are the small intestine lymphatic points. So small intestine is about discernment. It helps us to know what to keep and what to let go of. So it can help us in releasing the sadness. Sadness serves a purpose, but if we hold on to it for too long, it's going to impact on our lives and not allow us to perhaps enjoy the present or claim our future. So those are working with the neurolymphatic points. So the next points we're going to work with are called the neurovascular points. So neuro is brain, vascular is blood. So I have done some other videos where we talk about the neurovascular points, but in this instance we're just going to work with the ones that deal with sadness and grief. So if you just put a 3-finger notch in the middle of your head, basically around the crown chakra, and the other hand on your forehead. So I'm going to invite you now to think about this sadness. Just really feel it. Think about the situation. Maybe think about how stuck you are with it. And you're just going to hold on to these points until such time as you feel a sense of relief. That would be too long for me to stay holding them on this video, but I will hold them just for about 2 minutes. So when we feel threatened by an emotion, it creates a stress response. And that stress response causes the blood flow to leave the brain and go to the extremities. So by holding this particular point here, which is the grief point, and the neurovascular is in the front, we're just inviting our body to think about the sadness and the grief. And yet by holding these points, we're opening ourselves to a sense of peace, that we begin to be able to think about this without it draining or losing our energy or creating too much energy in the system. So again, some energy moving, and I'm going to take a drink. I'm feeling a little bit dehydrated. So again, if you're feeling overwhelmed by grief, it could be really useful to practice doing that exercise for a few minutes every day and then build on it, so that it will eventually arrive at that point where you can touch in the sadness, but it's not holding you stuck. So the next exercise we're going to do then is based on the 5 rhythms. So with the 5 rhythms, we look at the seasons of life, the winter, spring, summer, autumn, and the equinox in between. So life begins and ends. Life is impermanent. We're born, we grow up, we blossom, we move into old age, and then we die. So nature recognizes that there's a beginning and an end to this cycle. So the rhythm of metal, or the rhythm of autumn, is seen as the cycle of completion. It's when we begin to let go. And sadness and grief means letting go and coming back into the present and beginning again. It's the end of a cycle. So this particular exercise is based on the metal rhythm. So we're going to stand up. So this is the exercise for the metal rhythm. It helps us to release grief and let things go. So hands on our thighs, just feeling ourselves solid, connecting down into the earth. Allowing ourselves to become centered. We could possibly do a hook up. And now drawing our hands up towards the sky. So we're just putting the head back and we're connecting in with the energies of the universe. And now we're going to bring our hands towards each other with S. So now lowering our hands. Bringing your hands almost together but not allowing them to touch. And in this place we're going to think about all that sadness. We're going to think about our own. If you want, you can add sadness within a family, within the world. And then opening back up to the universe again. And just allowing all that sadness to go. And once again using the allowing yourself to connect with that pain. Allowing yourself to release it from every chakra, from every cell in your body. Just allowing all that grief to make itself known. And then once again expanding up into the universe and just letting it all go. Just releasing all that sadness. And once again just allowing whatever part of this sadness that needs to show up now. And just holding it all in this container. All the grief and sadness that's preventing you from moving on with your life. That's stopping you from enjoying the present moment. And then once again, widening out back up to the universe. Just releasing it all and knowing you have the support of the universe in releasing this whole picture of sadness. And now for the last time, coming together, we'll bring our hands together this time. Just allowing it all to be. And then bringing one hand on top of another and stretching out. And you can do this cycle as often as you like. So exhaling and thinking about and releasing and thinking about the sadness, and inhaling and letting it all go. Okay, and now we have one more exercise to do to just finish this, little piece. So sorrow robs us of our joy, feeling sad robs us of pleasure in the present moment, maybe in family events. So the way I would like to finish this segment is by talking about the radiant circuits. So radiant circuits are about joy. So it's about doing a simple exercise that allows us to experience joy in the present moment. So one of the best ways to activate the radiant circuits is through the practice of gratitude. So I want you to take a few moments now and just putting your hands on your first and second chakra. Just allowing yourself to think about, to find the gratitude in this situation. If it's somebody you've lost, it may be gratitude that they were in your life in the first place. If it's a loss where you really hated the person or where you're carrying a lot of resentment around the relationship, the other way to do it is to give gratitude for the lessons, for the life lessons that this relationship has brought you. And if that seems like a step too far, maybe just finding something in this moment that you are truly grateful for. So just holding on to your first and second chakra and just sending gratitude, or even sending gratitude for this body. And allowing yourself to smile as these happy thoughts arise. Just opening the cells of the body and inviting in that sense of gratitude. Just sensing that gratitude and joy, taking up all the spaces where that sad energy has been stuck. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. I hope you get some benefit from working with these exercises. And I'd invite you to again remember that emotions are energy, and energy will move. We just need to create the space and invite it to move. So thanks for joining me. See you again soon.